Hello, this is the second video about preparing carboxylic acids. In this video we'll have a look at the oxidation of alkanes, mostly alkyl arenes and cycloalkanes. These reactions play an important role in certain industrial processes. There are three main strategies for the oxidation of alkanes. One is hydride abstraction and intermediate generation of a carbocation. Suitable reagents include other carbocations, ketones such as DDQ, N-oxoammonium salts such as those formed by oxidation of TEMPO, and azo compounds such as DET. This will of course be the strategy of choice if the intermediate carbocation is well stabilized, for instance by electron-rich arenes or alkenes. A second strategy is homolytic abstraction of a hydrogen atom and formation of a carbon-centered radical. Typical reagents include stable oxygen-centered radicals such as oxygen or NO2, the latter being formed during oxidations with nitric acid. Peroxides undergo homolytic oxygen-oxygen bond cleavage upon heating, and the resulting oxygen-centered radicals can then abstract hydrogen from alkanes. The OH bonds of water or alcohols are often much stronger than CH bonds, and oxygen-centered radicals are therefore convenient oxidants. Finally, a third strategy is deprotonation of an alkane followed by treatment with an electrophilic oxidant, for instance a peroxide. This often enables highly regioselective oxidations, but may also imply more demanding reaction conditions, for instance anhydrous solvents and reagents. A comparison of bond strengths can be helpful to estimate the likeliness of a given homolytic hydrogen abstraction from an alkane by oxygen-centered radicals. Homolytic cleavage of the OH bond of water, for instance, requires almost 500 kJ per mole. This means that hydroxyl radicals, as those formed by heating hydrogen peroxide, will abstract hydrogen from most CH bonds, even from benzene. On the other hand, the OH bond of the hydroperoxyl radical, with a strength of only 247 kJ per mole, is rather weak, and most hydrocarbons are therefore stable in the presence of oxygen and require a high activation energy to start burning. NO2, on the other hand, will abstract hydrogen from alkanes already at a much lower temperature. This table also suggests that at room temperature oxygen will not abstract hydrogen from N-hydroxyphthalimide. However, upon heating, oxygen is in fact capable of converting N-hydroxyphthalimide into its radical. In the experiment shown here, the phthalimide N-oxyl radical formed by reaction with oxygen was detected with electron spin resonance. Weak CH bonds, for instance allylic or benzylic CH bonds, can be oxidized by oxygen without the need of any catalyst. This so-called odd oxidation is a radical chain reaction and, when conducted at moderate temperatures, usually yields hydroperoxides, as shown here. At higher temperatures, though, hydroperoxides can fragment into alkoxyl and hydroxyl radicals, which can bring about the formation of alcohols, aldehydes, and carboxylic acids. Aerobic oxidations can be catalyzed by cobalt. The intermediate cobalt peroxyl radicals are stronger hydrogen abstractors than uncoordinated oxygen and are better suited to initiate radical chain oxidations. Regeneration of the cobalt catalyst may occur by hydride transfer from alcohols or aldehyde acetals, as sketched here. Cobalt-catalyzed aerobic oxidations are used for the industrial manufacture of terephthalic acid from paraxylene and of cyclohexanol and cyclohexanone from cyclohexane. Also N-hydroxyphthalimide can catalyze the oxidation of alkanes by oxygen. As shown on a previous slide, upon heating, oxygen can abstract hydrogen from N-hydroxyphthalimide. Both the resulting hydroperoxyl and phthalimido N-oxyl radicals are stronger hydrogen acceptors than oxygen and better capable of cleaving CH bonds homolytically. Let's check some specific examples. Heating toluene with air and 0.1% of a cobalt-2 carboxylate gave a low yield of benzoic acid. Unfortunately, a large number of byproducts was also formed, as is often the case in radical chain reactions. Under carefully optimized conditions, however, a much cleaner oxidation can be achieved. Here, a mixture of cobalt, manganese and bromide was used to catalyze the aerobic oxidation of paraxylene. Mostly terephthalic acid was obtained, along with a small amount of an aldehyde. In this example, 4-methylbenzonitrile was oxidized to 4-cyanobenzoic acid by oxygen, with the aid of N-hydroxyphthalimide and cobalt acetate. Unfortunately, large quantities of phthalimide are often required for these oxidations, what not only increases the costs, but also severely complicates the purification of the final product. This here is a preparation of nicotinic acid from 3-picoline, under similar conditions as on the previous slide. Again, 10% of N-hydroxyphthalimide was required. Cycloalkanes are more difficult to oxidize selectively to carboxylic acids than benzylic or allylic methyl groups. Here, cyclohexane was oxidized by air, and as catalyst a mixture of cobalt acetate, manganese acetate and a lipophilic version of N-hydroxyphthalimide was used. Surprisingly, in this case a much lower amount of N-hydroxyphthalimide was sufficient. The main product of this oxidation was adipic acid, and as byproducts glutaric acid, cyclohexanone and cyclohexanol were also formed. When such reactions are performed with hydrogen peroxide instead of oxygen, no C-C bond cleavage occurs, and mostly hydroperoxides, ketones and phenols result. Some benzylic methyl groups can be oxidized to carboxyl groups with oxone. Here, such an oxidation succeeded with a mixture of oxone and potassium bromide in nitromethane as a solvent. The main disadvantage of this procedure is the large amount of inorganic waste. Less waste is generated by nitric acid, which is therefore generally preferred for large-scale industrial oxidations. During such reactions, the radical NO2 is generated, which is a more powerful hydrogen abstracting reagent than oxygen. Thus, NO2 can initiate radical chain oxidations, as shown here. Because of the stability of these NO2 radicals, homolytic NO bond cleavage of nitric acid is easy. The initially formed alkyl radicals can abstract hydroxyl groups from nitric acid, whereby alcohols and more NO2 are formed. Unfortunately, nitric acid is not a very selective oxidant, in particular at high temperatures. In this example, strong heating of 4-tertsbutyltoluene with an excess of dilute nitric acid gave an almost equimolar mixture of terephthalic acid and tertsbutylbenzoic acid. With a smaller excess of nitric acid and at lower temperature, however, a selective monooxidation of orthoxylene was achieved with reasonable yield. Isopropyl groups are oxidized faster by nitric acid than methyl groups, as shown here. Refluxing 4-isopropyltoluene with an excess of nitric acid gave mostly 4-methylbenzoic acid. Nitric acid oxidations can also be catalyzed by N-hydroxyphthalimide. In this example, this catalyst was used to oxidize cyclohexane to adipic acid. The reaction was conducted in TFA and already proceeded at room temperature. Permanganate is a further oxidant suitable for the oxidation of reactive alkyl groups. Like oxidations with periodate, these proceed by a concerted deprotonation and CO bond formation with the oxidant, as sketched here. Permanganate and periodate are easy to handle and can be dosed very precisely, but, like with oxone, a lot of waste is formed during such oxidations. Here, 2-picoline was oxidized in fair yield to the acid with 2 equivalents of potassium permanganate in water. During such oxidations, manganese dioxide is formed, and cleaning of the glassware can be quite challenging. Here are some further references which you can also find in the description of this video. For subscribers, there is a PDF version of this presentation under the Community tab. The next video of this playlist is about the oxidation of aldehydes and ketones to carboxylic acids. This is an important strategy, also for laboratory preparations of structurally more complex acids. See you then.